So now we're going to start with the lime sweet potatoes. And you think, what a crazy combination. But it's actually really delicious between the caramelized roasted sweet potatoes and the zest of the lime. It really marries up really nicely. And I changed the view of the camera so that you could see what I was doing a little bit better. I know you'll miss seeing my cute face, but you can still hear me and you can get good instruction on what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get these sweet potatoes in the oven and get them roasting while we make the sauce that's going to go over top of them that we're going to finish them with. So we're using avocado oil because it's a high heat oil, and you're going to want to set your oven to 425 and get it preheated ahead of time. So we're just going to put a little bit of olive oil and saturate them, pretty well. Get them tossed, get a nice coating on them, and then we're just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to them. And then get them on our baking sheet. And I've got a baking sheet here with a little bit of parchment paper on it. And the thing that you want to remember with roasting is that you always want to leave some space. If you want these veggies, especially if you're working with any kind of potatoes and you want them to crisp up, you want to give them some room to breathe. If they're all clustered together, then what happens is it forms steam, and the vegetables, they still cook and they still taste wonderful, but they don't have that crispy caramelized outer edge to them. So that's what we're looking for in these potatoes before we add the lime butter sauce that's going to go over top of them. So I'm going to get these into the oven and get them start roasting. So what I mentioned, when you get your vegetables in the oven, you want to put them on the lower rack in your oven, and we're going to cook them for about 15 or 20 minutes, and everybody's oven varies, so you're going to want to probably check them after about 12 minutes and to make sure that they're not cooking too fast. And while they are cooking, we're going to start with the sauce, the butter sauce. So you can get your butter melted however you want to. I just tend to put it in the oven, because the oven's hot now, melts really quickly. And the one thing that I want to talk to you about is your lemon zest. So the outside of the skin of the lemons is where we get the zest from. And they make fancy tools that you can use. You can see these have like little holes in them, and you take the zester and you drag it back, and it creates these little curls of citrus. And you can smell the citrus when it comes out. It has such a wonderful flavor. And the nice thing about using zest is if you're going to cut a lime or a lemon in half, you can zest it beforehand. Take the zest that you have, that you've used from that lemon or that lime, put it in a container, put it in your refrigerator, and it will stay fresh in there. Lemon and lime are preservatives, so it's going to last for a long time. You can take it and you can toss it over top of a salad. You can put it in with your vegetables after they come out. You can add it to any sauce that you've made. It really adds a nice pungent flavor, and most people wouldn't know that you've added it in. So we're gonna chop our zest fine, and you can leave it in bigger slices, but when you toss this with the sweet potatoes, you're going to want it to all blend together. And not everybody has some form of, fancy zester to use. So any grater, microplane, any tool that you have that you use to grate cheese with, you can use to make zest. So this microplane has larger teeth in it, and it does a really nice job. And the great thing about using a microplane, and you're going to want to turn the lime as you work, because the idea is that you're getting the outside of the lime. You're not wanting to get the bitter part that's underneath the skin, the white part. You're just looking to get the green outside skin of the lime. And we use a lot of organic products here in the store, but you would want to wash your limes before you start, especially if you're not really sure where they come from, since you are using the outside fruit of the lime. So when you grate, whether you use a microplane or you use a grater, the advantage, you may have to work your way around the lime to get the zest off, but the nice thing is that it's already broken down for you when it's completed. You can see the difference of where I've used a zester and where I've used the grater or the microplane, and either one of them works. They both are perfect for what we're doing. So you'll have a tool in your house that you can use to make zest with. And just to remember that it is great to put into so many different things, especially if you love lemon or lime. So in this recipe, we're gonna add a quarter cup of water to our pan. And I just wanted to point out that there is a difference in liquid measuring cups to dry measuring cups. And the reason for that is because you want to be able to see your level mark of where the water comes to, or whatever liquid that you're measuring. Because if you have it in a solid measuring cup that you would measure flour in, it's really difficult, one, to fill it to the top, and you don't know that you're getting the exact amount of liquid that you're looking for. So it's always great to have something, either a glass or acrylic liquid measuring tool in your kitchen, because it really does make a difference. Not so much when you're cooking dinner or making your everyday dishes, but if you're baking, it's really important that your ingredients are precise. So we're gonna add our water into our pan, and I'm gonna add the rest of the ingredients that we have here, and I'm gonna get it start cooking. So what your recipe is telling you is that you want to add your water, your sugar, your lime juice, and your zest into your pan until the sugar dissolves. You're basically creating almost like a syrup to put on top of your vegetables once they're roasted. So we'll get that started, and then when our sweet potatoes are finished roasting, we'll put them all together. So go get busy and make your sauce. So you want to, once you've got your water and your coconut sugar and your lime juice in the pan, we're going to cook this for a little bit, and you want it so that it will reduce down to not quite half, but you're looking for it to thicken a bit and some of the water to evaporate. The thing that you need to be careful with coconut sugar is coconut sugar tends to caramelize really quickly, so you need to watch this while it's on the stove. And we're pretty close. Once you get this sauce so that it is, it's sort of on a simmer. I have my heat's kind of at a medium heat. It's got a low boil going to it, but that's going to help to evaporate a little bit of the water. Not having the pan covered lets the steam evaporate. So we're going to let that cook for a bit, and then when we're ready, we're going to take our roasted potatoes, our lime syrup, our butter, and our lemon zest, and combine them all together. So our sauce is reduced down to about 3 tablespoons. It only takes about 3 or 4 minutes for it to come together. And our sweet potatoes have come out of the oven. Oh, and they're hot. Don't do that. Get in front of the camera here. So you can see that they've started to caramelize and get crispy, but they're soft in the middle. So we're going to take the potatoes and I'm going to put them in a bowl and we're going to cover them with our lime syrup, our butter, and our lemon zest. So let's get them into a bowl. So our sauce is now complete. You can see we've got about 3 or 4 tablespoons of that now that it's reduced down, and it's got a beautiful sort of caramel color to it. We're going to get a bowl, and we're going to add our roasted vegetables that we got out of the oven. And I like mine really caramelized. They look much darker on the camera. But anyways, you want them to be, they're hot. You want them to be nice and caramelized on the outside, but they're still going to be soft in the center. So I'm going to put them into my bowl. So sweet potatoes have a lot of natural sugar in them. So when they roast, they tend to get a little darker on the outside than most potatoes do, but that caramelized flavor adds even more sweetness. So we're going to take our butter, our melted butter, and put our melted butter on top. We're going to add our sauce that we made, our lime sauce. We're going to put that over our sweet potatoes, and then we're going to add our zest. And the recipe calls for about a 1/4 teaspoon of zest. It's totally up to you. You can add more, you can add less. I'm going to add a little bit more salt to it, and then we're just going to blend these up. And that's it. That's all it takes. And they're really delicious. So I think that you'll enjoy them.